My Polish friend told me that in Poland, the movie posters were different versus the rest of the world. So I was really intrigued and I started searching for a YouTube video talking about it and I found one. Let's check it out today. The name of the video is The Weird Rebellion of Polish Movie Posters. Interesting. Is it just the posters or what about the title of your movies? Is it like modified from the English title version? Let's check it out.
First question. This is a poster for what movie? Correct.
Indiana Jones.
It's Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you said Indiana Jones, you get like half a point. Question 2. This poster of a skull with a whip snake thing slithering through it is for what movie?
No
it's
idea.
Also Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Polish poster. What about this skull with wings flying right at Raiders of the Lost?
What? It's a cool poster, but it's very weird. Why is that?
The Polish poster. What about this skull with wings flying right at you? That's Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. The Polish version. Okay, what about this pink rib cage with eyes?
Wait, what's that? Did I see that before? I don't know.
That's Polish Alien, obviously.
Alien?
If you look at almost any Polish movie poster from the 50s to the 80s, they'll have this abstract imagery that's sometimes pretty morbid, and it takes a while to understand what you're even looking at.
Yeah, they all look super morbid. Why is that? But you know what? This is actually very beautiful art. Actually, the posters, they look like someone drew them.
The original American artwork for these movies centers around the starring actors and instantly recognizable images. The Polish art is, well, just look at it. It's weird, but kind of incredible. And it makes you wonder, how did the same movies from the same era get such radically different poster styles? The answer is communism. Well, kind of.
Glorified, glittering, fascinating, fabulous, mythical kingdom. Hollywood, the glamour capital of the world.
As I'm sure you're aware, Hollywood is a business. They sell you movies. So every time we tape up a vintage poster to the dorm wall or listen to a 4-hour video essay about Finding Nemo lore, we can forget that movies are products and posters are ads. That's not to say they can't also be incredible works of art, it's just that they serve a purpose outside of looking cool. And because a movie poster is meant to get you to buy a ticket, Hollywood prioritizes marketability over creativity. Movie posters are created by artists, but influenced by market research, studio executives, focus
But what does it have to do with the weird posters?
groups. And that means simple images.
I mean, I
big
say weird,
names,
they're
and
nice.
of course, the infamous floating heads. And it feels like everyone knows how bland movie posters are today, but even in the golden age of Hollywood, a good movie poster was hard to come by. We just remember the best posters from that era because, well, they're the best. Plus, the fact that they were painted instead of Photoshop does add some charm. But even in the so-called good old days, artists could still be stifled by the cold, tightly controlled Hollywood bureaucracy. But these strange, beautiful, haunting Polish posters were made under a system that was more controlled than Hollywood. A lot more controlled. The Polish communist government was a puppet state of Soviet Russia, controlled by none other than Joseph Stalin. The government censored books, radio, and films that the Soviet authorities didn't approve of. Now, this was nothing new for Poland because for them, art had already been censored for years under the previous German occupation.
Wow, art censored, crazy. I mean, this is incredible. What a bad time to live in.
So, when the government decided to allow select American films to enter the country, Polish citizens were excited to see what Hollywood had been cooking up for the last half-decade. Thousands of Polish youth would even be watching a movie for the very first time. But first, the Polish Film Propaganda Office needed movie posters in their own language. So, they reached out to an artist named Henryk Tomaszewski.
Ja rzekłem, że pod jednym warunkiem
I agreed to make the posters under one condition. They should not expect me to make posters that resemble the American posters. Drawing from his fine art backgrounds of surrealism and expressionism, Tomaszewski's posters were playful, strange, and suggestive. In a medium that was expected to be a literal depiction of the movie and its actors, his work forces the viewers to look a little deeper. Together, Tomaszewski and a few colleagues began creating posters that were distinctly their own. They were working with poor printing materials, which meant they couldn't rely on photography, instead using more simple shapes that were easy.
I mean, that's actually pretty cool that an artist can decide that. So I'll do it, but sorry, but it's going to be my own style. It's like, okay.
Easily
Huh.
reproducible at a large scale. Compared to other forms of art in Soviet Poland, the censorship on movie posters was very relaxed. Soviet authorities saw the posters as nothing more than advertising, and odds are they never even saw the movies they were based on. Clearly. They also had no reason to push one film over another, so they weren't worried if the poster was even effective in making people actually watch the movie. And so while the
What?
rest of Polish society was heavily restricted, poster art became a loophole. One of the few creative spaces where artists had freedom.
Hey, you know what? I kind of want some of these movie posters we saw earlier. They look so beautiful. Like having a movie poster at home, okay, it's fine of the best movies you really like, but the one from Poland, from this artist, it's even like you're even a bigger fan than the rest of the fans. You know what I mean?
That's how we ended up with posters like this. They were surreal and strange.
What's that? What movie is this? I think he said it earlier, but wow, that's nice.
The only pops of color pasted onto the endless gray walls of rubble that made up many Polish cities that were destroyed under German occupation in World War II.
Oh my God.
They were
look at
violent
that.
and moody, reflecting a fatalistic people who lost almost 20% of their population to the war and were freed from one oppressor just to be conquered by another. An oppressor that tightly controlled all aspects of Polish life. Where an American poster might feature a heroic cowboy and smiling actors, the Polish version would focus on the violence, an anonymous weapon pointed right at the viewer.
What?
The posters were confusing. In a time when pushing back on the government's narratives could lead to harsh consequences, any message against the system had to be complex enough that it would get past the state censors. On the surface, these were just surreal. You know, weird artists making weird art, like they do. But to Polish citizens walking through cities that were heavily destroyed by war and still occupied by a foreign government, they hinted at hopelessness, oppression, and
What movie is that? Danton? The one on the left there. Wow, this is crazy.
unrest. All the things you couldn't talk about.
To znaczy,
We wanted our poster to be seen by the public, so we had to comply with their expectations in the first layer of meaning.
Z drugiej strony chciało się
But each of us tried to smuggle in some
przemycić coś, co,
undertones.
co się chciało.
Stalin is dead. A new era begins.
When Stalin died, many of the restrictions were gradually lifted over Polish art, which meant that the Polish poster school's artists were able to create work for films and plays from their own country, often using that same subversive imagery. But even years after Stalin died, writers and artists were still being arrested for criticizing the government. So even once the Polish film and art industries were allowed to ramp back up again, the movie poster loophole was still one of the best ways to criticize the system. And that's not to say all these posters had political messages. It's just that in communist Poland, posters became the de facto art form for any message. The street plastered with movie posters was the art gallery. People walking
Wow,
by might
that's
be able to
cool.
spot a Gorka poster just by the faces made up of other shapes, or
Was it 2001 Space Odyssey?
a Moldojinets poster just by recognizing all the stick figures. This artist, Waldemar Świerci, created over
Superman?
1,500 posters, which were reprinted in millions of copies pasted around Poland for decades. Here he is talking about how the Polish poster school became so influential that college students started to switch from traditional fine arts into the only field that would allow them to push boundaries.
I had absolutely no idea, and it's super cool.
zarażało młodzież właśnie tym i dlatego
It was very
coraz więcej
contagious to the
robiło
young
tych
people,
plakatów,
and
dużo
therefore
studentów
students would
się
turn from
przyjeżdżało
painting to
na
poster
rozpalanie.
design. It wouldn't be long before those same students would use poster design to help overturn the very systems that were holding them back. Hey, do you have a wall? If you do, it's not complete without a poster that shows everyone your refined taste. For that, you've got to check out movieposters.com. They have pretty much everything. The 50s and 60s are considered the golden age, but the Polish school of posters continued all throughout the 70s and 80s. Hollywood's original posters in this era were generally pretty good, but it's still interesting to see Polish artists haunting interpretations for blockbusters like Jaws, The God.
Wait. I want to see it. Sorry, guys, but I want to see Jaws. I love Jaws.
Blockbusters like Jaws,
I missed it.
The Godfather, and Star Wars. Want to play another round?
Star Wars. Okay, let's
I know
guess
you
that
do.
movie.
All right. This car and
Steven Spielberg?
squiggly lines that turn into a face when you squint your eyes is a poster for what movie?
Back to the Future?
That's Back to the Future.
Huh?
Okay, how
What?
about evil origami Yoda viciously attacking Santa Claus?
The Grinch?
That's the Polish poster for Gremlins, obviously. Here's one of
Gremlin?
my favorites. It's a shark with 2 jaws. Jaws
What?
2. That's
What? I want this poster. Oh my god, this is amazing.
incredible. But while the artists were cooking up their weird masterpieces, something big was happening outside the studio. As the Soviet Union's grip on Eastern Europe began to slip, Poland entered a crossroads. In 1989, Poland's first semi-free elections were held between the ruling communist government and the anti-authoritarian Polish Solidarity Party, a movement led by workers and artists who challenged the Soviet regime. To communicate their political messages, Polish artists used movie posters, the same way they had been for the last 40 years. A 22-year-old design student from the Solidarity Party named Tomasz Sarnecki created a poster that became the defining image of the election. He took a still from the 19...
Hey, it's crazy how big it was. Basically, like, movie posters were the beginning of art being back in Poland. This is very interesting.
1950s Western film High Noon and traded the heroic cowboy's gun for a voting ballot. The Solidarity Party made it an official campaign poster and plastered it across the country on every wall, every lamppost, and every train station. This time, the message didn't have to be subtle. Vote against the current government. High Noon, June 4th, 1989. The Solidarity Party overwhelmingly won that first election over the communist government, winning 99 out of 100 Senate seats and paving the way for Poland's transition into a democracy. According to one of the party's leaders, Bronisław Geremek, the poster helped unify the Solidarity Party.
Oh yeah.
It helped us win. For the people of Poland, High Noon comes today. After 40 years, it was fitting that a poster would help put an end to government censorship in Poland.
A movie poster.
However,
Interesting.
with the restrictions from communism gone, in came influences from capitalism. In Poland, movie posters were ads once again, and surreal, thought-provoking designs don't actually sell movie tickets. So while artists were finally free to create whatever they wanted outside of the film industry, within the film industry they had no choice but to follow the same commercial interests that Hollywood did. In came the big names, the simple themes, the standardized branding, and of course, the floating heads. And if you walk past a Polish movie theater today, you'll find that the only difference between the American and the Polish posters is the Polish.
Okay. No more art.
Here's poster artist Wiktor Gorka speaking in 2003.
Teraz mamy pełną swobodę I coś, co...
Now we have total freedom, and what do you see in the streets? We see very poor quality posters. Of course, it's better that people are free to make what they want, but isn't it just a little sad that we'll never see a movement like this again? But the legacy
Wow.
of the Polish School of Posters is still going strong. Posters from this era have become collector's items worth thousands, and they're studied in design schools across the globe. They continue to inspire modern designers, illustrators, filmmakers, and anyone out there who wants to create something. Through what was basically a loophole in Soviet censorship, the movie poster became something beyond a simple ad. It became fine art, an expression of struggle, and a weapon of change. And yeah, it looked really weird while doing it. If you found this topic interesting, I recommend checking out a few of the sources I'll link in the description. They go much more in depth than...
Super cool. Hey, I had absolutely no idea, but I need one of these posters in my condo here. They're so beautiful. I'm gonna have to look at which one I'm gonna get. Which one would you get, guys? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.